I think we've had him on the show since the last Razorback baseball broadcast. In fact, I'm pretty sure of it. Bubba Carpenter is here with us, though. But Christian asked me a moment ago, Bubba, and I guess we can ask you here. Have the hiccups come back at all from the regional weekend, which is one of the wildest things I've ever experienced with a broadcast partner that was every 10 seconds, but you haven't had that in a while, right?
No, they haven't come back. Thank goodness. Well, hey, I tell you what, Phil, I opened up my book from last year, all my baseball stuff, and the first thing that fell out were the box scores from the regional, the SEMO and K-State game.
Yeah.
So, it kind of ruined my day.
Man, I balled those things up and threw them in the garbage before I even walked out of the broadcast booth that day. I don't need to remember any of that stuff. It's a different team, too, Bubba. Different team, right? I mean,
I know.
if you look at, I mean, it's a completely different team. And Dave, you're in on the Zoom today. He says that they're more athletic, they're faster. I'd like to think that this is a team that will be able to not fall into slumps and still hit the ball with authority. And I don't know, even just looking on paper, it looks like they may have that.
Oh, I think so. And Phil, one thing I say all the time, you learn more from losing than you do winning. And I think we learned a lot from last year's regional, and that will not be repeated again. I love the guys they brought in this year. The Friday night game when Oklahoma State came to town, that was so much fun. I watched the pitchers just light it up. I watched hitters hit lasers all over the field. I watched big, strong, athletic guys. It was fun, and I'm super excited about this season.
Well, I am too, and I would always be, no matter what, just because it's baseball and it's always been my thing. I just feel like, to me, we thought last year you'd have a deep pitching staff, and it turned out it was Hagen Smith and a couple of other guys that would fill in. Sometimes you were just kind of hoping after Hagen. I don't feel like that right now. They've said that it's not really like a pitching staff that'll be dominated by one guy. I got to say, though, like Hagen was terrific last year. Gabe Gackle has the makeup and the stuff to have that kind of a season. I'm not saying he will, but he's got that kind of ability.
Oh, absolutely. And, you mentioned Hagen. Still take Hagen away last year, and we're an average team, and I hate to say that because I love a lot of the guys on the team. Some of the guys that left, a lot of the returners. I love those guys. I know they busted their butt every day, but I mean, without Hagen, I mean, I just don't know. That was he's a once in a long time pitcher. You don't see that very often. Kind of like a Kevin Kopps. You take Kevin Kopps away from that team a few years ago, and what would we have done? But now I just feel like we're more balanced. I think we've got a good mix of righties, lefties that can get on the mound and get the job done. You know what I look? I try not to look at all this preseason stuff, but if you look at like the top 100 juniors, we got 6 guys listed in that, and they're all studs. Top 100 sophomores, we got 6 guys listed. Top 75 freshmen, 2 guys listed. Carson Wiggins and Cole Gibler. I mean, and I could read off all the names, but I mean, everyone knows who they are. But they're all. I mean, you look at that and you're like, wow. And that's not even mentioning a lot of the other guys that we have. I mean, it's ridiculous if you look at some of the talent that Dave and his staff's assembled this year.
How is our right fielder? Is it Diggs? Bubba, when you look at this starting 9, I guess the guys that are going to be mainly in the lineup, how many of these guys do you think could have 10-plus home runs? Do we have 3 or 4 guys in this lineup you think could have 10 homers?
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? They're not going to have just 10 home runs. I see this team being a team that hits a bunch of doubles. And I love doubles and triples. And I know it's harder with the ballparks being smaller today, but to hit triples. But boy, I see this team as a team that's going to hit a lot of balls in the gaps. I see them hitting a lot of 2-strike doubles. Not a lot of swing and miss. Not a bunch of strikeouts. I just see us as a more well-rounded team. But to your point, these guys are strong. And if you're trying to hit a line drive, up the middle and you miss hit it, it ends up being a bomb. And I think that's what you're going to see a lot out of these guys because they're big, they're strong, physical guys.
You've hit 30 triples in your career, Bubba. So you're pretty winded by the time you got to third base. Could you leg out a triple these days?
Well, I'd have to hit it a long way, Phil. I'm not going to lie to you, buddy.
I think a triple for Bubba would be a home run over the fence, and you have to stop at third base and wait for the next guy to still knock him in. So we were talking about the basketball team and how it looks like it's a collection of, I think, talented players, but it hasn't come together chemically, in terms of just figuring out how to be a good team. And I think some fans might be a little worried that the same thing can happen in baseball. I think this looks like an amazingly talented team, but it's difficult to put a finger on what chemistry is and how that's created. People put it on the coach a lot of times. I mean, the coach can bring the guys in, say all the right things, and it doesn't always work that way. I'm sure you run some teams that were like that. And in today's day and age of every year, it's a new team. There will be some years where you miss just on chemistry and you didn't realize that was going to be a thing.
Oh, it's so important, that team chemistry. I know, I spent, as you know, several years in AAA with the Yankees, and man, on paper we shouldn't have lost a game, but we were a bunch of selfish guys. Thought they shouldn't be in the minor leagues. They've got a little big league time, so they feel like they're big leaguers, and you wouldn't win. But then you get that group of just hard-nosed, scrappy players, and you win the division. And off of that team, a bunch of guys end up in the big leagues. But you know what I loved, Phil? I loved what Dave said today. He was talking about teaching the guys to care about each other and care about the University of Arkansas. And I think in today's game, you look at the basketball team, and look, I don't watch a lot of basketball. We have it on at the facility, and I see what's going on with them. These guys are making a lot of money. I think when you get guys in the transfer portal, the NIL, they're making all this money. I think the hard part is teaching them to play for the name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back. And I think that's what DVH and his staff, they do an incredible job of, first of all, bringing the right guys in, but then they teach them to play for each other, play for the University of Arkansas. Play for the name on the front, not the name on the back. And I think that's hard to do in today's culture. And I think DVH does a great job of it, and the whole staff, getting guys to buy in to Razorback baseball. And you and I talk about Razorback baseball all the time, and that type of baseball wins. And so I think it's incredible that Dave's able to do that.
Hey, Bubba, we had Paul Skeens at LSU a couple years ago. I think last year that I forget the guy's name at Florida. Caglione. Who's the best one or two players in the SEC this year that you're excited to watch?
Well, I don't know. I'll tell you one guy I'm excited to watch is Brent Airedale. Our guy. I'm really excited to watch him. I'm excited to watch Gabe Gackle pitch on a Friday night. Those are the guys I'm excited about. As far as the rest of the SEC, there's going to be some good players out there. I don't know if there's a Paul Skeens or, like a Dylan Cruz type, Jack Caglione type guy out there. But I know that the league is loaded from top to bottom, Matt. It's going to be, you look at all the talent we have. I guarantee in LSU they're having this same conversation right now. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're loaded, Ole Miss. And, everywhere. You're going to look at it, and they're going to say the same thing. But I tell you, it's a fun, people talk about baseball, how good it's gotten. I mean, there's so much talent out there right now, even in some of your smaller schools. There's talent everywhere.
I enjoy everything about the college baseball season, from February where you got a lot of questions to answer and all the way through June when the questions are answered. I know that but you and I are into the process, Bubba, and just being around the game. Sometimes I miss being around 140 or 162 games. But I do feel like I wouldn't even say a section of the fan base, a lot of the fans, and I don't blame them for feeling like this. Part of it might also be where baseball falls on the calendar, and that, football 7-6 and basketball's not doing very well, and a lot of expectations are being put on baseball to try to quote unquote save the athletic season. But they're not going to believe what they see in March or April or early May. It all comes down to what happens the last weekend of May and into June. I think this is a team that's got the talent and the coaching staff to go far into June. But it's just like it'll take a long time to get there. You know what I mean? It's like opening day is 30 days away, but anytime anybody will believe what they see is June.
Oh, absolutely. So, it takes a while to get the lineup put together. Dave will experiment early in the year. I mean, there's a lot of guys to pick from right now. I wouldn't want to have to write out this lineup. But, Dave also said another thing. How did he word it? He said something to the effect of, I may write the lineup, but you guys make it. And, cream rises to the top. So, he'll eventually, the right guys will rise up and be the guys that he's writing in the lineup every day. But it takes a long time for the team to come together and gel. But I agree. I think once June rolls around, DVH's teams, they seem to peak at the right time. Of course, it didn't happen last year. We kind of fell off at the end of the year. But I think we're a different team this year. And I think we're going to get better every day. And these early games, it's kind of spring training. It's different. Major League clubs get spring training to figure all this out. DVH and his staff, they've got to use these games early on, try to get everything figured out before we hit that 30-game gauntlet of the SEC.
How's the swing these days?
It's a little rusty. I'm not going to lie to you. I think I could probably still top you with exit velo. I think, you hit it at 82 miles an hour on the ground, right?
Hard ground balls. That's right. That's my specialty.
Yeah, the power ground ball. That's right, the power ground ball. You're a good hit and run guy.
Bubba, I love your passion, man. Get in there and talk to these basketball kids, man. Get in there and just let some of that passion overflow.
Wow. Well, does it seem like something's missing, Matt?
They're kind of looking at somebody to lead them, and Coach Cal is the leader. But when you're looking at the players on the set, like who's the actual floor general? When your best player's 17, it's kind of hard for him to be the leader, and then
right.
It's kind of what I'm seeing. But maybe it just takes one. If they can get one victory, they figure it out. Maybe they can change it around.
Well, I was hoping Missouri would be their first win, but that looks like it might be a little tougher.
Heck, I was hoping LSU would be there. I was hoping Florida. I was hoping Ole Miss would be there first. Kind of go down the line.
Well, hey, look at the bright side, fellas. 30 more days till baseball season. You know it?
Could be a long 30 days, Bubba. I don't want it to feel like 60. Do not need to feel like it's 60 days. But it's always going to be a great time. I mean, the team consistently is entertaining to watch. They're always coached well, and the guys play so hard. It's a great fan base, and, man, I just have so much fun doing the games with you, Bubba. So it's not like we'd get there and sit around if there wasn't a game or a team to watch, but it's fun nonetheless.
Oh, I'd still hang out with you, Phil, if there wasn't baseball season. Remember during COVID, I let you in my germ circle. Remember that?
That's right. Even with the sneeze guard between the two of us.
That's right. Well, I've been around everywhere I go. People start asking about baseball. As soon as January rolls around, everyone's asking about baseball. How are we going to be? I know there's a lot of people out there excited right now. We haven't given up on the basketball team, but there's a lot of people excited right now for baseball season to roll around. And boy, I'm at the top of the list.
I think I'll see Bubba Wednesday next week, do the show in the facility before traveling with the women's basketball team. Bubba, looking forward to that and all the games. And, of course, we'll have you on again. And thank you for making time for us today.
Well, you're welcome. Appreciate you guys having me on, and I'll see you next week, Phil. Bring your bat and your batting gloves, all right? I'm going to carve you up.
Sounds good. Power ground balls coming your way.
BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball to NHL and UFC. Head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use the promo code BELIEVE for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here.